Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gen Z Sports. I haven't said that in a while. Wow. As I'm sure you already have listened to, we had the PSA last episode. I don't know when you're seeing this as compared to that, but yeah, Jeremy's not here. He won't be for the foreseeable future. We're gonna continue rolling without him. And we wish him the best, and we count the days until he's back with us. But life keeps moving on, and so will this podcast. So, but I'm sure you can tell what we're talking about today, baby. I'm pimped out in the Patriots gear for a reason. We're number one in the AFC. We're back. 9-4 last night. We had an absolute classic game against the Buffalo Bills. The weather of that game is unlike anything I've ever seen before. The watching the punters kick into the wind. It was hilarious. The ball went like 30 yards. Patriots had a 15-yard punt at one point in the game. But it was an interesting game last night. Point is, the Patriots ran the ball over 45 times. Mac Jones threw 3 passes, completed 2 of them. The Buffalo Bills still did not even come close to stopping the Patriots running game. They dominated up front the entire night. And the Patriots won in a defensive struggle. There were some interesting calls. I did not care for that personal foul call on the Patriots on that third down play, in which Josh Allen ran for it and almost got the first down because of the penalty, but I digress. Point is, we won. We're top of the AFC. We've confirmed ourselves as legitimate contenders. We are on a roll. We are the hottest team in the NFL. We have won 7 straight games. That's insanity. And we've beat good teams too. Granted, we haven't beaten contenders all 11 games. But this win against Buffalo, in these conditions, I think it showed a lot of our grit, and it showed a lot about our team mentality and our we adjusted to the conditions better than Buffalo did, and we came in prepared in our plan that Bill Belichick, the mastermind himself, made work to perfection. But that's in the past. The Patriots are 9-4, first in the AFC, and I think I'm on the Patriots. I think you can tell, man. I'm on the Mac Jones train. I got the Julian Edelman jersey. He's retired, but I didn't really feel like wearing the Brady one. It is a little big on me, though, you can tell. But, I don't know, man. Patriots, they look good. Damian Harris's injury scares me a bit, but Ramondre Stevenson has been absolutely balling out. He was an absolute steal. I can't believe he's a rookie, too. He has just been lights out. Damian Harris has been also insanely good, even though he is having little injury issues right now. Hopefully he is good within the next few weeks, especially for the playoffs. I'm mainly just impressed with how quickly we bounced back. I thought it was going to take a couple of years. Maybe 2023, I was being like, all right, Bill, let's get the ball rolling on this rebuild we got going on here. But Mac Jones has come in. He's looked like lights out. He's on pace for the most highest completion percentage of any rookie quarterback ever. I love the way that we've built the system to be an efficient. I can't believe the Patriots are such an efficient offense. I mean, we have a very good ground attack, and given our limited talent at receiver, I think that we've done very well. We don't really throw many deep balls, which is, that's not really. That wasn't really. What kind of was wasn't really Patriots football when Brady was here. It was also kind of a methodical drive down the field type offense, but we did throw the occasional deep ball. You don't really see that much with Mac Jones under center, which I'm fine with. I think that may hurt us later in the playoffs if we can get the deep ball rolling with Mac. That would be very dangerous. But I think that this team can make a deep playoff run, and this team can knock out a contender in the AFC. And if you ask me, I think this team is the team to beat in the AFC right now. Maybe the Chiefs. The Chiefs are on a roll. but that's the only team I'd put on a similar status quo as the Patriots. Maybe the Ravens too, although they were a little iffy. That game against Pittsburgh, God, that was an interesting one. Mark Andrews, Mark Andrews. I don't know what that play was, but on the 2-point conversion to lose the game. But Patriots. Point is, Patriots are going to the Super Bowl. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I will say this. Early in the season, my prediction about the Patriots saying they were going to be, this team can be 11-5, that they're going to surprise everybody, didn't look so hot when they were 2-4. Now I'm looking like a genius. The Patriots defense has been absolutely stifling. Mac Jones has been balling on all cylinders, even if he did only complete 2 passes in the last game for 19 yards. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Patriots. I think that I'm really falling in love with the team again. Last year was last year was rough. Cam, super Cam. He had his two games of glory in Carolina, and now he's back on the. Good God, what was that game a couple weeks ago? 5 of 21. Passer rating of under 10. I think it was 5.8. God, but that was the QB we had in New England at the end of the year. And Mac Jones is everyone's wondering why we cut Cam and why we picked Mac Jones and all that. I was a Mac Jones supporter since that preseason game against Philly, and I'm proud to say that I have been because he's been lights out. Patriots are the team to beat in the AFC. Impressive win against Buffalo. We got another. We're on the bye week right now. Then we got Indianapolis. That'll be a good one. Jonathan Taylor. We'll see what we can do against them. I like Indianapolis right now. I think Jonathan Taylor is a menace. And I think that will be a very telling game. And I think I'm picking the Patriots, obviously. But I think that if we can hold Jonathan Taylor to under 80 yards, maybe no touchdowns, we'll see. I think that'll be enough for the Patriots to come out of there with a W. And then we have the Bills again, 2 times in 3 games against the Bills. We have them at Gillette at home. I think that will be another W for the Patriots, and I like where this season is going. I think we are going to end the season with the 1 seed in the AFC, unless Kansas City keeps his win streak going the rest of the year. And yeah, Patriots are back on top. We're back, baby. Dominance continues. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for the Patriots. These playoffs. I can't believe I'm saying that, man. After last year, man, Patriots are going to be in the playoffs. Wow. But I missed them last year, man. But I think that does it for the Patriots now. I think we've gotten past it. Point is, I like the Patriots, and they're playing pretty well. Next up, let's talk about some more football. The Chiefs are getting it together. And if you ask me, I think they are if they played the Patriots, I'd probably pick the Chiefs. I hate to do it. But that offense, if any team can beat the Chiefs, it's the Patriots. Even though they have been beaten down by Tennessee and the Bills earlier in the year. The Bills are on a little bit of a dip in terms of how they're playing right now. They're at a valley, not at their peak anymore. And I think the Patriots definitely have the best coach in the NFL ever. And I think if anyone can make a scheme to stop Kansas City, it is Bill Belichick. So that would be an absolute classic if it were to go down. Hopefully it's at Foxborough in the AFC Championship game, a rematch of a few years ago. And we'll see how it goes down if it happens. I kind of want it to. I think that'd be a fun game. But the Chiefs are getting it together. They're not playing down to their competition anymore. The explosive offense we know them to be is finally starting to show its true colors. Even if Tyreek Hill is not catching balls left, right, and center that end up being interceptions for the other team. But Chiefs are good, man. They're finally rounding into form as we expected them to. We'll see if they can keep it up into the postseason. I expect them to, and I think that they are going to be everyone's favorite for the Super Bowl come playoff time, as they're on a roll right now, and I don't expect it to stop anytime soon. All right, but we're going to talk about a few NFL teams. So I think I think they're borderline. We're gonna play some overrated, underrated with NFL teams. How about that? I'm in the mood for some overrated, underrated. I'm just gonna go down the list in the conferences in terms of playoff picture, all that stuff. Let's start with the AFC. Second seed in the AFC, we have the Tennessee Titans. Are they overrated or underrated? If you ask me, I think the Titans, as of right now, without Derrick Henry and with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones having some injury issues, I think they are. I don't want to say overrated. I think they're properly rated right now. But I think that when A.J. Brown and Julio Jones do return, I think that they will be overrated. I think that they rely way too much on Derrick Henry's presence. And even though they're still a decent team without him, I think they've clearly struggled with him gone. And I think that will only continue. So I think Tennessee is overrated or properly rated until A.J. Brown and Julio Jones come back, which looks to be soon, if not this week. So yeah, properly rated to overrated for Tennessee. I don't think they're really a threat to any top contender in the AFC, at least not with Derrick Henry. So if it's a shame that Derrick Henry had to go down like that, but it's their own fault. They overworked the guy. It's gonna happen. I mean, you're giving a guy 30 carries a game. He's going in with that, dealing with that much contact as an NFL running back. It's gonna happen. They should have seen it coming. It's their own fault that he's injured, if you ask me. Next in the AFC, we have the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens. This team is so spotty week to week. You don't know what Ravens team you're gonna get. You're either getting second half Lamar, who's coming out of nowhere throwing 300 yards and 5 TDs, or you're getting first half Lamar and the Ravens when Lamar's throwing like 40% completion rate and 4 interceptions like he did against Cleveland, I think. So I don't know really where to place Baltimore. I think at their peak, I think that Baltimore can knock out any team in the AFC. I think that they are arguably the best team in the AFC when they're at their peak. But I think that they're a little too spotty for me to say that they should be placed at an underrated spot. I think that they are overrated as of right now. I think that people are giving them way too much credit for their record, and especially with that performance against Pittsburgh. Even though Pittsburgh is still a solid team, that offense is so pathetic with Big Ben under center. I don't know how the Ravens didn't pull away in that game. But yeah, Baltimore, I'd say, is a little overrated. If they can start getting a little more consistency, like they had earlier in the year, I will give them their credit and say that they're a properly rated team. They are a true contender. I still think they are a contender, but it depends on how they're feeling. And I don't like. I'm not a very very big fan of inconsistency in sports or in anything for that matter. But the Ravens' inconsistencies definitely scare me a bit, and I do want to hold off before I call them underrated or a team that can knock out the Chiefs or the Patriots or even the Bills. So yeah, Ravens I'd say are a little overrated. Chiefs, ask me this 5 weeks ago, I'd say they're overrated. Right now, I'd say they're properly rated. They're rounding into form. They're playing well. They're firing on all cylinders. Yeah, Chiefs are properly rated. Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, another team that has some inconsistency issues. I'd say they're a little under week to week. It varies week to week. I'd say they're properly rated. I think they fall in the middle. This team has, again, similar to Baltimore in that at their peak, they can take any team in the AFC or in the NFC for that matter. Any team in the league, when the Chargers are at their peak, can be taken to their brink. That last week's dominant showing against Cincinnati proved that. Justin Herbert is the man. That offense is killer. And that defense is very underrated, if you ask me. I think that they're having a stellar year on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that the Chargers are a team to be reckoned with, if you ask me. I think that they I do like the Chargers a lot. I think that honestly, as of right now, I'd put them at the third best team in the AFC behind the Patriots and Chiefs. Um, so I definitely think the Chargers are a little bit slept on by some guys, but then some other guys overrate them and say that they're the best team or whatever. I think the Chargers are a little bit generally underrated. I think that they have a lot of potential to make a deep playoff run and to maybe get 30 fans next season instead of just 10. Um, I mean, give them their credit. They're 7-5, and every game they play is a road game because nobody comes to their home games. It's always packed with fans of the other team. So yeah, credit where credit is due. LA Chargers, Justin Herbert, they are a team to be reckoned with. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow. I do love Joe Burrow. I think this team has been absolutely lethal. Jamar Chase has been amazing, even if he did have a rough game last game against the Chargers. I think this team is, despite being a little inconsistent, that loss against the Jets, inexcusable if you ask me. I still think they're a little underrated. I think that Joe Burrow, I'm a big Joe Burrow fan. I like what Jamar Chase is doing. This offense is very, very lethal. Joe Mixon is having a career year. I think that this team can again, at their peak, they can take any team in the AFC to the brink. And at their peak, I'd put them in the top 4, maybe top 5 in the AFC. For sure. I think that Joe Burrow is the man. I think that their defense is really the biggest question mark about this team. They don't have a lot of depth on that side of the ball, but they bend but don't break. That's what I can say about their defense. They let up a decent amount of points, but they can make big plays when they can make plays when they need to, and they can again against very inferior offenses they can dominate. So yeah, I think that the Cincinnati Bengals have a very very good team, and I think that although I wouldn't call 2021 their year, I'd say that 2022, 2023, 2024 they have a very bright future for the next few years down the line. And don't be surprised if this team goes into the AFC Championship game and maybe knocks out a Kansas City Chiefs, a team like that, within the next few years. I'm serious about that. And lastly, of the teams I'm going to talk about in the maybe we can keep going down the list for the AFC. I got some more teams I want to talk about. Maybe, yeah, we'll go down the list. The Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills are. Everyone's dogging on the Bills, man. Everyone's saying they're overrated. Everyone, everyone. But after last night, after that performance against the Patriots, after that, the Bills, they cannot do anything on offense without Josh Allen. That weather last night, is that weather suitable for throwing the football? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The Bills couldn't get anything going. The best run on the ground. The best running back for the Bills is Josh Allen. That's sad. I don't trust Brian Daboll at all as the Bills offensive coordinator. I think he's a very good offensive mind when it comes to a throwing offense, but the Bills have decent running backs. They have a decent running back core. They have no business being as low of a run offense, as bad of a run offense as they are. I don't know. I don't know if it's. I think they just don't run the ball, and I think that's going to hurt them. I mean, you're running into teams that are going to give you a scare in the passing in the secondary, and that you're not going to be able to pass against. Buffalo doesn't have the running attack to keep up with those teams, so I think that Buffalo is definitely on the downtick, and it's for a good reason. They are 1-4, I believe, against teams with a winning record right now. They got beat down by the Colts. Patriots, despite I wouldn't call it a dominant showing from the Patriots and by any stretch of the imagination, but the Patriots beat them on their home turf, and despite them coming out of the gates looking real strong, even though they lost to Pittsburgh week 1, they went on a massive tear, just flexed their strength. they're on a downtick right now. I think the Bills, even though everybody says this, I think they're overrated. Um, I don't know. I don't like the Bills right now. I don't like the Bills. Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Talk about an insufferable fan base, ladies and gentlemen. I can't. Philadelphia fans are something else. Boston fans, you got me, are something else. But Pittsburgh Steelers fans are right up there with them because this team, it, they're not good. They're 6-5-1. They tied the Lions, the Detroit Lions, who just got their first win against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll talk about that. I don't know if we'll talk about that, but the Lions won. Congrats to Dan Campbell. I love Dan Campbell. I think he's a great coach. I love everything that they're doing with Dan Campbell over in Detroit. And I think that Dan Campbell, I think, is my second favorite NFL coach behind Bill Belichick right now. But anyways, back to the Steelers. The Steelers suck. Their defense is good, really good. TJ Watt is an absolute beast. But their offense sucks. Big Ben is an absolute atrocity under center. Thank God he's reportedly planning to retire after this year. It's long overdue. He's god awful. This team has no chance in the playoffs. I'm sorry. They might have beaten Baltimore in a game where the Ravens showed their inconsistency issues. But this team just plays down to their competition like nobody else. And 6-5-1 for a team with this much talent on paper is very disappointing. Big Ben is in the twilight of his career. He has been for years, but this is the first year he's actually starting to just curl up and die on the field. I mean, the man is terrible. Pittsburgh, I think it's, I don't want to say it's officially over because your defense is still incredibly strong and can shut down any offense in the league. But it's not looking good for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. But if you ask their fans, you never know. Indianapolis Colts. Love what I'm seeing out of the Colts. Love it. Jonathan Taylor is the man. Jonathan Taylor is an absolute menace. Putting up 5 touchdowns on the Bills, over 150 yards rushing, I believe. He's unstoppable. If you ask me, I think he's definitely Offensive Player of the Year. Maybe not MVP, but Offensive Player of the Year for sure. I love what I'm seeing out of Jonathan Taylor. I think the Colts are rounding into form on the back of Jonathan Taylor. Personally, I think that they rely on him a little too much. I wouldn't say that they're underrated. I think they're starting to get the ball rolling. I would say they're properly rated right now. If they can get them more, if Carson Wentz can get more consistent in the passing attack, I think they will be a team to be reckoned with in the AFC, and they will be a team that maybe a dark horse contender for the Super Bowl. Jonathan Taylor can take out any rushing attack. That game against Tampa Bay, number 1 rushing defense in the league. The dude put up, I think, 83 yards and a touchdown, which is a down week for him. Jonathan Taylor is a menace. I don't know what to tell you, man. Colts, I think, are properly rated. Last team I'm going to talk about, we have the Oakland Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders. Not the Oakland Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders have had a chaotic season, and for them to still be 6-6, with all the crap they've had to put up with this year, all the off-the-field drama situations that have occurred, I'm very impressed with the Raiders. Even if I'm impressed with Derek Carr, I'm impressed with this team in general. I think that the entire Raiders roster has earned my respect, and I think they're underrated still. I think this team can, if they do make the playoffs, they can play spoiler for a team. Make a 6 seed, make a 7 seed, maybe upset a team in the playoffs first round. You never know. I like the Raiders a lot. I think that they can give any team a scare. And yeah, Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders are underrated. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're gonna go to the NFC. Talk about the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals. I'm still sleeping on the Cardinals. but I'm going to say they're properly rated. 10-2, best record in the NFL for a reason. Kyler Murray is the man. DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in football. Arizona is the team to beat in the NFC for a reason. Properly rated. Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers is balling out right now. They're putting up dominant performance after dominant performance. A.J. Dillon is starting to show himself as a very, very good backup to Aaron Jones. And they have a very good rushing attack over in Green Bay. Now with Aaron Jones coming back from injury this next week, I think. Maybe he'll sit out for another week, depending on his injury status. But Green Bay is, I wouldn't say that they're as good as last year's team, but they're still a force to be reckoned with in the NFC for sure. Aaron Rodgers is having a great year. I'd say properly rated for the Packers as well. Tampa Bay Bucks, I'd say properly rated again. I think that Tom Brady is the man, of course. He's having an MVP caliber year. And that team in general is just so well constructed. I think they're the most complete team in football. That defense is insane. Leonard Fournette is playing like he was 3 years ago and I think the Bucks are still the best team in the NFC, if you ask me. I think that they just have the most. They're top to bottom. They are easily the most complete roster in the NFL, if you ask moi. Tampa Bay Bucks, Super Bowl 55. It is 55. Wow, I can't believe I don't really know what. Super Bowl 55 champions. I expect them to, if you ask me right now, if I'm putting money on any team to win the Super Bowl, I'm putting my money on the Bucks. Repeat champions. I think the Bucks are properly rated, if not underrated. The Dallas Cowboys. Here's the thing with the Dallas Cowboys. They've had some inconsistency issues the last few weeks. But I still think people are jumping the gun a little too early on them. I think they're underrated, slightly underrated right now. I think that their defense, hey, give me my credit on my takes on their defense prior to the season. I said that their defense was underrated and that they were going to come out and show everybody that their coordinator last year was the main cause of the issues. Dan Quinn, coming in after being fired from Atlanta, former coordinator of the Legion of Boom over in Seattle, that dominant unit led by Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, you name it, the list goes on and on and on. Dan Quinn comes in, and this defense is lights out. Micah Parsons is an absolute menace on defense. Love Micah Parsons. I think he is an absolute joy to watch on defense. He's such a smart player for a rookie. Love watching him. Trayvon Diggs is in a defensive player of the year conversations. He's having a pretty good year. This defense is good, man. They're a good defense. And you combine it with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup on the offensive side of the ball, and Ezekiel Elliott, and Tony Pollard, who's having a great few weeks. The Cowboys have arguably the second most complete team in football. I'd maybe put the Pats over them, but honestly, on paper, I'd put the Cowboys. I think that they're just, all in all, and this team can win the Super Bowl. I think this is the best shot the Cowboys have had in a long, long time. Dak Prescott, love Dak Prescott. I think he's absolutely amazing. And their offensive weapons are firing on all cylinders. Zeke is quietly having a great year. CeeDee Lamb is having a breakout season. They're top to bottom. This roster can take anybody in the league at their peak. Now, granted, it is Dallas. Of course, they're going to have some issues against some teams that are worse than them. And that Thanksgiving game on the Raiders, the amount of penalties they had, even if some of them were a little questionable, penalties, it's an issue with the Cowboys. regardless, Dallas is a good team. I expect big things out of them in the playoffs, and Tampa Bay Bucks, Dallas Cowboys, your NFC Championship game. You heard it here first. A rematch of the season opener. That'll be your NFC Championship game, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Next, we have the LA Rams. Overrated. Overrated. Well, everyone's jumping the gun a bit, I'd say, on the Rams after they had that 3-game losing streak. I still think they're a little bit overrated. I did love the Rams prior to the year, and I still do like the Rams roster a lot, but I think that they're having some issues. They brought in Von Miller, they brought in OBJ, and they really haven't done much. OBJ's had a couple touchdowns the last few games. Okay. I don't see him being the playmaker he was in New York, playmaker he was in Cleveland even right now. I don't like the Rams that much right now. I think Cooper Kupp is having an outstanding year. I like Matt Stafford, even though he's having some consistency issues. That defense is obviously really good, but they're getting shown up by teams like the Packers and a couple other teams that they should be, on paper, beating the heck out of. I don't like that. Rams are overrated, even if everybody else is saying that. I'm very disappointed in the Rams the last few weeks. Washington football team, I think everyone is overrating the Washington football team right now. They are on a little bit of a hot streak. I'll give them their credit. Are they a dark horse contender? No. No chance. This team, 6-6, it's a decent record. For the Washington football team on paper, decent record. But they've been getting very, very lucky their last few games, taking teams that they should have no business beating, and winning games. I'll give them their credit. So a win's a win. But I think they're just getting, frankly, lucky in their last few wins. I think that their record is very deceiving. This team is not as good as some of the other 6-6 teams in the NFL. Last team I'll talk about is the not the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not talking about the Eagles. I'm going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers. Underrated. 6-6. This team beat the crap out of the Rams. Beat the crap out of them. Deebo Samuel is having an insane year. Jimmy Garoppolo might not be doing an insane amount under center, but this offense is explosive. Their defense is quietly a great unit. They're just holding a lot of good teams to low point totals. I like the 49ers, even though they are a little inconsistent. I like the 49ers this year. I think they can also play a spoiler in the NFC, similar to, I think, what the Raiders can do in the AFC. That's going to do it for overrated and underrated with the NFL teams. And now it's time for who's the best team in the AFC and the NFC. What are my Super Bowl predictions? This will, I think, close us out for today. NFL-focused episode, obviously. Super Bowl predictions for Super Bowl 56. The NFC, as I said earlier, I think the Tampa Bay Bucks are going to repeat as NFC champions. The only teams the teams I would also consider, the Cardinals, maybe. The Packers, I'd say the Cowboys are the second favorite if you ask me, even though they're having some inconsistency issues right now. I think that they can round into form. They can scare off a lot of teams, even though they do have very little experience compared to some of the other teams in the NFC. I would say the Rams could also be a team that could make it to the NFC Championship and maybe win it if they start rounding into form again. But we'll see what happens with them. Tampa Bay Bucks are my favorite in the NFC right now. And as for the AFC, I'm picking the Patriots, man. I think that the Patriots right now, 7 straight wins. 7 straight wins. That's pretty hard to do in the NFL. They've played incredibly well. Their defense, Matthew Judon, Adrian Phillips, guys like that. The amount of talent on the Patriots defense that most people had never really heard of. I never heard of Adrian Phillips before this year. Matthew Judon I heard of. I was very excited for that signing, and it's proved he's lights out. Defensive Player of the Year candidate for sure, Matthew Judon. I doubt he'll win, but I love Matthew Judon. I love what he does for the Patriots on defense, and I respect the hell out of him too. We've beaten. Let's go down the list of our 7-game win streak. We had a moral victory against the Buccaneers the week before this 7-game win streak started. Taking the Bucs to the brink. A team in Tom Brady's return in Foxborough. Coming down to a 50-yard field goal. Nick Folk in the rain and the wind hits the upright. Barely missed on it with an injured plant leg. If that's what a game against the Buccaneers comes down to, a team that is the best team in the NFC, if you ask me, sign me up. Sign me up. That was the week that I fell in love with the Patriots again, and it's been up ever since. 7 straight wins since then. Or not 7 straight wins. We actually lost to the Cowboys 2 weeks later. But the 7-game win streak, let's go down the list. A 54-13 rout of the New York Jets. A 27-24 close showing on Halloween against the Chargers. Chargers are one of the best offenses in the NFL, and I very impressed with the Patriots in that one. 24-6 beatdown of the Panthers. 45-7 massacre of Cleveland. 25-0 dominant showing against the Falcons. 36-13 against the Titans, and 14-10 against the Bills. Most of these teams are not AFC contenders or contenders in either conference, really. But the showings we've had against teams that I would consider contenders, the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, notably, and compare with the wins that we have had against contenders, Chargers, Bills, I think that this team is a force to be reckoned with. I think that they are back. I think Bill Belichick has not completed the rebuild, but to be doing this well with a rookie quarterback, I cannot complain. I cannot complain. The Patriots are back, baby. They're that Patriots Buccaneers Super Bowl. You heard it here first. Happening. That's my picks. What week is it? I think it's week 14. We're going into week 14. As of week 14, that's my picks. Patriots, Bucks, Super Bowl. Here we go. I can't wait. That's going to do it for me. Again, sorry Jeremy can't be here. Hopefully he will be here soon. Sooner rather than later. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me. Uninterrupted, that's got to be, yikes. I can't even imagine. That's got to be rough. Go Patriots. We're going to win it. 7th ring on the way. I think that'll do it for us here. Thank you for listening. I'll see you all in the next episode of Gen Z Sports. Happy holidays. I hope you all are doing well. Hopefully we can get some more episodes out. Let's try out the new format. A little bit shorter episodes, more digestible. Hopefully you guys like them. That's going to do it for me. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Whatever time of day it is. I hope you're doing well. I drag on way too long in these outros. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Just realized I forgot the parting words. How could I? Anyways, my parting words for this week, for this episode. Mac Jones better be Rookie of the Year. Better be unanimous. He deserves it. Lights out all year. Give the man his respect. That's going to do it for me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great rest of your week, rest of your day, whatever it is. You're the best. Thank you.